Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to take a further look into the prospect of what's happening with the coronavirus, with China, and comparing the charts of their world leader, which is Xi Jinping, and looking at his chart, comparing it to the chart for China, as well as looking at the Vedic New Year chart where the new moon falls in Pisces. All three of these charts give us a further indication of what to expect with this coronavirus. As I've said many times before, I warned everyone, I said, please strengthen your immune system this year because we are looking at the prospect of major virus, flu, things of that nature. And I want to add this too. The flu has been extremely bad throughout this year as well. So beginning when Mars was in Virgo, which was sometime around September through November, this was the time that this virus was growing, manifesting, coming together, and now we're well aware of the effects of this virus, which is, as I speak right now in February, pretty intense. So looking at these charts, first I want to look at the Vedic New Moon chart, which happens to be on March 24th, 2020, and in this chart, doing it for the longitude and latitude for Beijing, China. This new moon in Pisces falls at 10 degrees. And in this chart, it falls in the 8th house, which is the house that deals with death, destruction. This is a very difficult thing. And the nakshatra, I might add, that this new moon in Pisces is called Uttara Bhadrapada. Uttara Bhadrapada is represented as the serpent of the deep, which is very deep, profound, but we can't see where it's coming from. We can't see the essence of it. It is so profoundly deep. It's coming out of left field. Where did this come from? You can't see it. But furthermore, the symbol for this nakshatra is the end of a funeral cot. And what does that represent? That there will be more death. And with this moon falling in the 8th house of this chart, this represents a lot of deaths. China's in trouble. This is a terrible, terrible thing to befall on this country. Furthermore, the most important planets that are the triggers in this chart are the Mars, Saturn, and Pluto. They're aligned up in the sign of Capricorn. And guess what house this occurs in? The 6th house. What is the 6th house all about in astrology? Health and healing and disease. So putting those three powerhouses in that house, this represents the potential for drastic disease, and this must be addressed and healed, as it will be. The next chart I want to put up is the chart that I have for China. And I must say that I have been given a different time for China than the one I used originally. So I thought, let's see how this correlates as to what's happening and what will be occurring in China. So putting up the chart for China, we have China as October 1st, 1949, but the time I'm using today is 3:15 p.m., not a.m. And with that, this makes the ascendant in Capricorn. Now remember, the transit of Mars and Saturn together with Pluto are in Capricorn. So it is activating this chart in a powerful, powerful way. And it is right there where Mars and Saturn are about to conjoin towards the end of March, about March 22nd. They will conjoin at 6 degrees of Capricorn and the moon is at 10 degrees. But notice also with Mars being in Cancer in this chart, it's in the 7th house of opponents. And Mars, Pluto, and Saturn's going to come up and oppose natal Mars and conjunct the natal moon. When Saturn hits the moon, this is very, very, very difficult for this country. There's great losses of the economy as well as lives. This is heavy. Saturn's heavy. And Mars, there's major setbacks and delays. Of course, they are in Capricorn, which means there will be a rebuilding after the destruction. So this is very interesting. And another added thing I might add is Jupiter. In this chart, Jupiter is 29 degrees. Realize towards the end of March, transiting Jupiter will be 29 degrees. So there's a Jupiter, transiting Jupiter will be on natal Jupiter. This is a Jupiter return. It is happening in the 12th house. 12th house deals with what? Hospitals. And there has to be a rebuilding, a resurgence, a cleansing in this area in China. Hospitals must be cleaned out and healed. But I happen to notice in the natal chart for China, Neptune and Ketu are together, and they're pretty tight. And Neptune does deal with infectious disease. Ketu means vast destruction because of it. And I want to say China has been known to put out these type of diseases. Remember SARS? Now we have the coronavirus. Well, this is what it's prone to based on this Neptune-Ketu conjunction where? In Virgo. Virgo is the sign of health and healing. So this is very, very strong in this chart. Now, here is another interesting chart to add to what we can see in the future for China. And that is pulling up their leader's chart, Xi Jinping. Looking at this chart, he was born June 15th, 1953. But what's important is the solar eclipse. That will happen June 21st. It will be pretty much close to his Sun, Mars, and it is in his 12th house. But what I think is very important is the location of his natal Mars, which is 7 degrees of Gemini. This is important because 7 to 8 degrees of Sagittarius is the degree of the United States ascendant for the chart I use for the US. And there is a lot going on between the US and China. And things that we can't see or know. But as with this next eclipse that happens in June, you will see the end of June, early July, because his chart is activated very, very powerfully. And where is this? This is happening in his 12th house. Hidden agendas, things we can't see behind the scenes. But the 12th house is the house of loss and endings. And this is very prominent because we have Rahu crossing over his Mars and eventually his Sun. And this is going to take place in the summer months. This disease potential and the losses that China is going to incur because of it will be great. It will be very, very difficult. Why? Because of his chart. And I find it very, very interesting how his chart connects with the Chinese chart, because there are so many things that he has, such as his moon in Ketu, in Cancer, and China's Mars hooks up with his moon in Ketu. And the moon in his chart is pretty much aligned with the moon in the chart for China. The moon in the chart for China is 10 degrees of Capricorn, while we look at his moon, which is 11 degrees of Cancer. So you can see how leaders' charts align with the country's charts. And you can also see, as transiting planets activate the leader's chart, it affects the whole entire country. And I know that China's in for a rough ride this year. They've got a lot of work to do to clean up and prevent and learn more about how to prevent these kind of disease potentials that could spread and cause great destruction to the world. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like to learn more about me, if you would like a reading or to sign up for my new free newsletter, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And if you would like to study Vedic astrology online with me, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.